Welcome to another edition of Digging Deeper with Teper, where I'm the guy that takes you behind the story, the real story behind the story. And today we have a very special guest, very close to me. Well, I'll explain that during this interview. We know him as Big Q, Quincy Taylor out of Las Vegas, Nevada, baby.
Hey, Teep, how you doing, man?
Well, you looking still kind of big sitting there in that chair.
Yeah, I'm about 260, 250, 256, 250.
260. Okay, well, I'm going to get into your history, and we have a very unusual beginning, the two of us.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, it's a great story, but first of all, I'd like to find out what you're doing these days. I know you're a personal trainer and doing massage, and you're located in Las Vegas, your hometown. So tell us more about what you got going.
Yeah, I'm doing personal training. I've been doing that for a couple years. I'm at Fit Club. Fit Club's got 3 locations here in Las Vegas. I work out of Fit Club doing my personal training. I got licensed about a year ago in massage therapy, so I've been doing that as well. Mostly focusing on sports, injury, things like that. I've taken a lot of courses on stretching, deep tissues, my main thing. And you can find me at Body by Quincy, 702-829-7189, phone number here in Las Vegas. And I'm available all times except for Saturdays and Sundays. Well, I might do a Saturday if you can pay me enough. But I've gotten some very good results. I got a lot of people who I've helped with shoulder injury, frozen shoulders, sciatic nerve, knee pain, back pain. I worked in a rehab center when I was younger, so for knees specifically. So I've got a lot of experience there, plus my own injuries. So that's what I'm pretty much doing right now. I got licensed about a year ago, so that's what I'm doing right now. Is doing a lot of personal training and then the massage therapy thing, i.e., stretching. Uh, I can do a little bit of rehab work when they come into the gym. So if you got major injuries, I'm perfect for you to come in the gym and work with. I got several clients
Now,
now with stuff like that.
are any of these people intimidated when they go to get a massage? 6'4", 275-pound former pro bodybuilder working on them.
Most of the time, it's mostly sports people because those are the ones that they want. Most people that really know about deep tissue, they want it very hard. Because if it's not hard, it's not really achieving the goal that they want, and they want specific things, opening and releasing muscles, getting ready to helping that fascia grow. And if it's not hard enough, it's not really doing anything. So most of the time, that it's easy for me to do all those things. Plus, I've had so many injuries, I know exactly what to do for a lot of muscles. And with all the training I've had, I've gotten really good at rehabbing muscles and doing a lot of different things like that.
Yeah, I gotta give you a tribute. You have gone into the academic side of things. A lot of people, oh, I'm a pro bodybuilder. I'm your trainer. Just do what I say. You've obviously studied the industry quite in depth.
Oh yeah, I've started really when you got to keep learning as I get older, and I'm still learning. I got a guy who trains me, still trains me every week. I go see someone just to learn new different techniques of just for the massage stuff, and I'm still picking up books that some of these younger people are writing on just diet, nutrition, different supplements. Because I know what I know, but you can never learn too much, and it's best to keep your mind open because some of these younger guys, some of the things they're coming up with are very, very cutting edge and very amazing. So I adopt them. If I think it works and I've tried it and I've seen that it works and I know it's safe, I do that a lot. I adopt them. Plus, I train a lot of young people here too. I was a probation officer in Los Angeles for many years, so I get a lot of young people, and those are the ones I really have a lot of fun working on, getting the kids because a lot of the coaches in some of the schools don't really train them properly. So get them just fundamental movements is really good. But I'm really good at the massage side of it. And I've gone to. It was kind of hard to go back to school in my 50s, but I was like, okay, I already some of the stuff I knew, but some of the technical terms I just didn't know, and I've expanded my mind with that. If I'm not learning stuff, it's kind of you kind of stay going stagnant. So you have to keep learning and keep understanding. I went to the massage side of it because I had most of my clients are guys in their 50s and 60s who are injured. So I had to learn how to really work with them anyways. And some of the injuries I have myself. So I figured I might as well go along with the flow and learn more about those injuries and be able to help people to actually achieve gaining muscle, staying in shape. The food aspect. I had to learn a lot of stuff about my own just getting older and keeping my hormones in balance. That was a big one because I got diagnosed with pre-diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, the whole thing. So I had to start really learning about 6 years ago, I had to learn how to really bring all that stuff down. Hence the reason why I'm like 255 now, 260 now, because I had to learn, and I have no
Yeah,
problem opening my mind up and learning.
let's go back to where it all began, or at least out of high school. You were a football and track star at a high school in Las Vegas, and then you went to Long Beach City College, where you and another named James Bivens were shot putters, and you both received scholarships to Cal State LA, where I was working.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that
That's how we met you. That's how I met Teep. I was running track, playing football, and I decided to go for a track scholarship. And I met Teep when I went into that weight room in Long Beach at Cal State LA. Me and James went to school together at Long Beach City College, along with Tommy Listener, the actor. He
I,
transferred to
I,
Cal State LA the same way we did.
yeah, this is a funny story. People think I made this up, but I went up to you and James because I saw these two guys with great physiques, great potential, and I said, "Why are you guys want to be out in the middle of the afternoon, 103 degrees in the smog, throwing a 60-pound metal ball with no one watching you, when you can be on stage and eventually becoming a pro bodybuilder and having people all over you?" And you know what? I found out recently that James got his pro card in 2023. So both of you did make it to the pro ranks.
Yeah, you kind of inspired me. I had been reading bodybuilding magazines, and since I started lifting weights when I was 12, so I've been reading magazines since I was a kid, looking at the pictures, looking at all the bodybuilders, watching Lou Ferrigno movies, watching Arnold movies, watching Steve Reeves movies. Just so I was already into the body. I looked at magazines like crazy. Muscle and fitness was the big thing back then. So when you came to me with that stuff and you actually pushed the bodybuilding a little bit more, and really I went to your bodybuilding show that James did. James did your show, and I saw Sean Ray on stage, and that just did it for
That's a
me. That did it for me.
19. Yeah, yeah. That was your first one. I remember I had you do, and you coasted through the Cal State LA show because the guys that you beat look like me. So I had you do the Orange County
I
the
got my
next
butt
week, and
handed to me. Denise
you got whacked.
Denise Vertosky was there, and made me feel small.
I did that on purpose because I didn't want you to get too big ahead. And
Oh,
then
my
you
head had
kind of
got real
went back.
big.
And you know what? You weren't an overnight success, but 10
Oh.
years later, USA, in 2001, I called your name out as the 2001 NPC overall bodybuilding champion and now a pro.
Yeah, it took me
10
10 years.
years.
Took me 10 years to turn pro because I was dense, didn't want to listen, stupid, and then didn't know how my body actually worked. And plus, it took a lot to fill out my frame because I'm 6'4", so it took a minute to fill out that frame. But that's those 10 years, I did a lot of things wrong, eating wise, food wise, supplement wise. I did a lot of stuff that I shouldn't, that I didn't know what I was doing until I started really learning and I started really trying to expand myself. Plus, I was under a lot of stress. I got 5 kids, man. And I was working in juvenile hall, probation officer. So it took me a couple years. It took me some years before I got myself together. Because what it was is I told myself, I'm going to try to turn pro. I'm going to do 3 shows, 3 national level shows. And if I don't win, I'm going to be done. But I said, if I'm going to do that, then I got to go 180%, just go all in on everything a year before the show. So I start getting ready for the show a year before, just go all in on everything that I needed, get everything together, make sure it's a coast. And I messed around and got my pro card. I messed around and got my
Yeah,
pro
well,
card. I was like, okay, now I can't stop.
I was beginning to wonder myself. It took a while, but then I got a message from you after the Tournament of Champions one day, and you were a little upset, saying, "Guess who won the overall here? Me, Quincy Taylor." And I said, "Well, people couldn't believe this in this bodybuilding class that I had at Cal State LA. I had you and James Bivens, and you guys would go in there and have contests every time we met on who could lift the most weight. And you guys were pissed off when one lost to the other. It wasn't all fun and games."
No, me and James used to play. Back then, I could go in there and do bench press 100 reps. It didn't bother me at all. We could do all kinds. We were like beasts in there. Me and James would battle like crazy. James was stronger than me. I have to admit that. He was stronger than I was. James was smart. James
Yeah.
was stronger than me. But I had a different do or die type of mentality more than James. The James is a little bit more relaxed than I was. But James was stronger
Well,
than I was.
luck you had because I was the head of the intramural program, and these guys were coming in at night. These Hispanic kids from El Sereno were coming in, and they weren't supposed to be there. And when I told them to get out, they laughed. So I hired you to run the intramurals, and the very next night they came in, saw you, did a U-turn, and got the hell out of Dodge.
I used to like to fight back then. I was a different type of animal back then. I was a lot more
Yeah.
angrier when I was younger, and I like that kind of stuff. So I'd go towards it. Those guys would come in, they take a look at me, and I go over and say, "Bro, bro, you can't be in here. They look at me and then they look at me and look around. I said, no, I said, I'm not trying to be mean to you, but you can't be in here right now. Unless you're a student, you can't be in here. So they'd leave, you know. And to me, I'd be sitting there reading my books. I was so happy when you gave me that job. It was like Python. I was like very happy. I was so happy to be sitting in there in that great room every day.
Yeah, I thought you were studying. I was very proud of you. You had that
I
book.
remember I had all
I
those
thought it was
books.
a
I
history
had a
book.
stack of books like this high. I had a stack of books high, and they were all steroid books from the library.
I thought they were history books.
Ah, man, I stopped reading the textbooks day one. I just go to class and sit and listen. But those, but no one is a guy who gave me some stuff, and it made my nipples were on fire, man. So I had to learn, and he laughed at me when I called him back. And I was like, dude, he just laughed in my face, and I got very angry. I said, you can only blame yourself, Quincy. You need to learn what you're doing. You needed to really sit down and learn. They didn't have the internet back then, so I said, okay, I'm gonna go to the library. And every book they had on steroids, I bought it. I just read it. I read it. I sat there and read every book that I could get my hands on till I started to understand what was what and what it's really doing.
You know, I feel you are one of the most underappreciated bodybuilders in the pro ranks. A lot of people don't realize just how good you were. I mean, you did the Ironman, which is one of the best contests ever, and you were fifth in the Ironman. You beat a lot of good people. I had you third. I only had Cormier and Priest ahead of you in that Ironman. Then you came back into the Ironman the next year and got sixth, which is still high and a great show. You
I
did
see your
seventh
Flex
in
Wheeler won it. I see your Flex Wheeler won it, so they weren't going to do nobody's.
1 year, and then 1 year Cutler won it.
Yeah, yeah. I think
2003 Cutler.
yeah, I was. I think I might have been there that year too. I did that show a couple
Yeah,
of times.
you were sixth that year. But a lot of people don't realize a lot of good people that you've beaten. And looking at your track, you went to the San Francisco Pro and finished seventh, which was great because it was a tough lineup. It was an Ironman lineup all over again. You were top 10 in the Arnold on two different occasions. A lot of people can't say that they ever did that. You made it to the Olympia stage two or three times. Now, when I saw you there, I wanted you to get off, but you still made it to the stage. And
I had some flaws, man. I had some flaws, and I wasn't. When I look back on it, I could have been a lot. If I think I'd have been a lot bigger and a lot harder, you know. But the thing was, I could only do what I could do at the time. And when you're going up against guys like Ronnie and Jay and some of these other guys and Victor, all these guys are coming and looking like monsters. I was not on the level. Once we got to that level, I was close, but not like those cats were.
well, you know, I see that that Dallas Pro show 2 years in a row. 1 year you chased Johnny Jack. Next year, you and Tony Freeman were head and head, and I thought maybe you could have won that. But in that show, you beat some top people, including the likes of King Kamali.
Yeah, yeah, but Tony beat me at that show. That was my
It was,
chance right there to get actually to win a pro show. That was my chance. That was my chance, and Tony beat me at that show.
but you were third, I think, the year before in it. So you battled 2 years in a row. You did pretty well in Montreal too, didn't you? At Pro
Yeah, I got
Show.
second to Johnny Jackson again. Johnny beat me at that show with no legs.
Well, maybe it was a wheelchair division.
I was shredded. Those pictures from that show look ridiculous, but you know it is
Quincy,
what it is.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know. I saw you a week before the USA, and I was stunned. You were with your trainer at the time, Hani Rambod. You came by. I couldn't believe. I said, "Don't do anything different. You look unfreaking believable." And you. I think you changed a little bit the next week, but good enough to still win. I think as a USA champion, you may have been better than you ever were, even including your pro.
That's the best. That's the best I ever looked in my life, and it was like I had started to getting ready to prep for that show a year before. I started dieting the whole year. I dieted a whole year for that show because I knew that my condition. I knew after doing the North American, I got fourth in North American, and Mike Morris won that show that year. Even though no one remembers seeing him on stage, because he had sued the company. So, but anyway, so I got fourth, and people were mad. People were booing at that Detroit show. So I knew I was ready on the cuffs there, but I said, okay. It's like I took Albert Beckel's word on it. He says, anytime you lose like that, just focus on wait until they see me next time. And that's what I did. I said, okay, I'm gonna start this prep for this show a year out. Chris Cormier gave me some good advice one day. I remember when I was an amateur, and I said, Chris, yeah, I'm gonna start my diet in 12 weeks. And Chris goes, I thought you were trying to be a pro. I was like, yeah. I said, ain't you a pro all year long? And when Chris said that to me, it kind of stuck in my head, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna start dieting now. I started a year before the show, and so when I came into that USA,
You were
it was
about,
all I went all in.
yeah, well, you were about 262, I believe, when you won the USA.
Two
And,
two 274.
no, I'm talking about the weigh-in. Didn't you weigh in at
Yeah, no,
260 something?
I waited 274. I was
Really, I
270.
didn't know you.
I was two.
To me, that was, and also when you did the Ironman Pro, which I think was your pro debut. I'm
Yes,
not
it was.
100%. I honestly, and I admit it, I'm a tad biased, but I had Cormier first, Lepre second, and I had you third, and you ended up in fifth, which was still a great showing at that contest. But third place would have really been a spectacular first contest.
Yeah, yeah. I could have placed a little. I think I could have placed a little higher, but the way I also look at it is everyone there thought they should have placed higher, except for the guy who won. So
Yeah,
I was just happy. I was so happy just to be on that level. Because, like you said, I took 10 years to get my pro card. So just me being there made me happy. Of course, I wanted to win, but at the same time, I was kind of living a dream, man. I was so happy just to be a pro bodybuilder and be able to travel and see the things that I see, and people did treat me very well. And, because of my height and my size, I got treated in a special kind of way a lot of times, and I enjoyed every moment of it.
well, to me, you still had a great career. How many people could say they were top five in a show as strong as the Ironman, top seven at San Francisco, twice in the top 10 at the Arnold Classic, almost took Tony Freeman down to the wire at that Dallas Europa show,
Yeah.
and you did. Even though you didn't do well in the Olympia, you reached the Olympia stage twice.
Yeah, two
How
times.
many people
I
could say?
qualified three times, but one time I just couldn't make it there. I had so much stuff going on, and I wasn't feeling very well, and I was so stressed out after that year of competing, and then my stuff was going on in my home, so I just took that. I qualified three times, but I didn't only went twice.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize I did an article with you, and if you remember, you said you thought you could have been a lot better if you would have kept it in your pants.
Well, come on, Teep.
You were, well,
I
you were
got
having,
five kids, and when you look at it, if it wasn't for me having five kids, there's no telling what I could have achieved. But if I'd kept it in
that's
my
what,
pants a lot more, I think I'd have been better off in life.
yeah, you could have been Mr. Olympia. I mean, but you did have the five children, but you were working, and uh, you finished. I believe you finished at Cal State LA.
No, I got my AA
Oh, you
degree
did.
from Long Beach City, and I didn't finish at Cal State because I had to start working. Started working. My third kid was born, and after that, I started working. I started working in juvenile hall, working downtown LA. So I learned how to counsel kids. So that's why I do really well training kids now because I was a counselor for
Oregon.
freaking 8 years. Central Juvenile Hall and Los Padrinos Juvenile Hall.
Well, you would have got a degree if you would have taken my ping pong class like James did.
Shit,
But
man. I, I, I would have been happy. I was such a blockhead back then. Sitting down and actually studying was something that was kind of beyond me in some ways. I just, I, I was a typical young guy who didn't think straight, I had no father, so no one really sat me down and really just tried to explain things to me to get me to see things a certain kind of way. I was kind of the blind leading the blind there a little bit.
yeah, you had other interests as well.
I had a huge chip on my shoulder, T.
And I know you and I almost had. Fortunately for me, it didn't go any farther, but we had our conflicts occasionally. But
Yeah, but I
I
loved
still,
you. I loved you because I knew it was coming from a place of trying to help me.
well, and I knew you could do me because, as you say, I was old and you would just choke me.
Yeah, I couldn't hit you, man. That'd be silly. It's like, don't hit Teep. What are you talking about? You had a
Choke
mouth
me,
on you.
choke
Teep,
me.
let Teep take Teep can say whatever he wants. Let him say what he wants. He's got a mouth on him. That's just Teep. It's like Sean Ray. People get all mad with Sean, and I go, man, that's just Sean, man. And Sean gonna be Sean. You can't get mad at him for being him. Just like I couldn't get mad at you for being you. It's like, it is what it
Well,
is.
I wanted to push you.
Huh?
I wanted to push you.
Yeah,
I
you
knew
work.
you needed. You had a lot of different. I mean, you were going to school. You had kids.
Yeah, it
You
worked.
were working. You had a lot on your plate that a lot of guys didn't have. You didn't have the advantages that a lot of guys had, and you still beat a lot of these top people who never finished in the top 10 at the Arnold Classic, who never finished in the top 5 at the Ironman Pro.
Yeah, you're
You know
right.
that in Montreal, I said you were second.
Yeah. Yeah, you did push me. I have to give credit to a lot of people. You were one of them who really just would tell me certain things. You thought I wasn't listening, but I was listening, and then it would stick in my head. Like what the hell are you talking about? You can do this. You can't do that. What do you? You're not training hard enough. You're not doing this right. And so I listened. And I take it to heart because the last thing I wanted to do was look back on anything and feel like I didn't go hard enough. And that's why when I finally said to myself, okay, just going to go as hard as I can. I'm just going to, doesn't matter if I fail or win or whatever happens, I'm just going to go as hard as I can. So when I leave, I know that I did everything that I could to achieve what I wanted.
Yeah,
And
you and at the USA, like I said, holy smokes, I can't believe how great you looked. Even though I did have a lot of confidence in you that you could make it to the pro ranks, which you did. Uh, was there a reason, maybe as a pro, that you feel you didn't quite reach the level you were hoping for,
I
or
don't
you
know.
think you did?
I don't know.
That you did reach?
I don't know. I think maybe if I would have, I could have even gone harder. I could have gone even harder than what I did. But with the way my temper was, my brain, I was kind of like, it boils down to me pushing myself harder with supplements and a lot of other things that I thought I was going hard enough. And with my family and my children, it got really difficult because of the simple fact of just your mind, your brain. You can focus on bodybuilding and go hard, but when you have children, you got to really, they need attention. So when to me the greatest champions are the guys they don't have they have children, but they're not in the house with them, and they have to really, you got to be focused when you're trying to be Mr. Olympia. It has to be 180% on. You
Well,
can't
when did you finally hang up the posing trunks?
after NASSER passed. I had shoulder surgery, and then I was good for I like NASSER. But after NASSER passed, I got shoulder surgery. They fixed my shoulder. I could have kept going. Around about 42, I said, you know what? I'm sitting in my apartment, I'm sitting in my freaking house, and my hands in that thing going up like this, stretching out my shoulder. And I got that call, NASSER passed. NASSER has some body passed. And I just thought to myself, nah. And then I watched guys like Kai Green come into the sport. He came in, and within a year, 2 years, he's bigger than me. And I was like, I'm not willing. You have to be willing to pay the price. And that eye of the tiger, the fire, I didn't have it in me no more. I knew I didn't have it. I was like, I don't got this in me no more. Not for that. For other things I have it, but not for that. I just didn't have it
Was
anymore.
it like that close loss to Freeman? Was that something that where you maybe
Yeah,
said,
yeah,
geez, if I can't, I thought I could win this. If I can't win this, I'm
yeah,
not going to ever Olympia guy.
yeah. I thought to my that after losing to Tony that time, and then on top of that, it just got to a place of stuff going on in my family because, as you know, when you win, you make more money, and without the money, it ain't gonna happen. And so I got to a place where I got tired. I had a fire in me for years, for many, many
I
years.
don't think you contract with anybody either, did you? Did you
Huh?
have a supplement company?
I
Did you have a
did.
supplement?
I had a contract with BSN, the company Brian clapped on. Brian was using, I was working for a company called Pro Bodybuilding, probodybuilding.com, where Brian Clapp was a cat who he got rich having products with steroid names, but there was no steroids in them. So he had to send me on stuff because Brian would try to go to the shows and guys would want to beat him up. So he sent me. So I worked for him for a long time, and he paid me okay, but I wasn't making tons of money. I wasn't making a lot of money. Most of my money I had in my house in Texas. I had
Advantage.
a gym. I trained a lot of kids. And I still work training people.
Yeah, you didn't have the advantage that a lot of people did in the sport. People that you beat are finished higher than in the same shows. They had contracts and they could concentrate just in the bodybuilding, and you still, like I said,
Still had to work. I
you beat
wasn't.
a lot of.
I never made over five grand a month from a contract. Never. I had other people that I knew, the guys were making 7 or 10, but I just never got that. Even though I was willing to work, I actually was, for most of the companies that I did have contracts that I worked. I worked for the company,
Realize, I talked about some of the people you beat. You beat KAMALI a couple times. You beat Johnny Jackson. You beat Haidar. But you even beat Dennis Wolf in one show. How many people could say they beat Dennis Wolf?
I
You didn't
didn't
even know that, did
that I didn't know. I didn't even
you?
realize I did
Yeah.
that.
You probably high. You didn't remember. You beat Dennis Wolf. Yeah.
You know me so well. I had to smoke a lot of grass back then, man. And when I was taking because of what I was doing physically, I smoked a lot of grass back then, man. I had to just to keep myself calm. Like I said, I grew up pretty rough, and I had a temper, and I had to keep that temper in check. It wasn't until I started meditating and I started taking deep looks at myself and started really getting in my own head that I started really maturing as a man. You know, you know, everyone around me tried to really help me with it, but I started seeing things a little differently as I got older. Once I got it past 36, 30, 37, 38, I started seeing things a little differently. And then
I'm looking at some of your contest resume here. 2007 Montreal Pro Championships. Durham Charles won, but a guy named Quincy Taylor was second and beat Johnny Jackson, who was third.
what
Chris
about that?
Cormier, fourth. Fuad Aviad was fifth. Troy Alves, who was a very good bodybuilder, was sixth. KAMALI was eighth out of eight. I mean, I'm looking at some of these other
Is
shows
that
here.
what show is that, T? Is that the Atlantic City Pro?
207 Montreal.
Whoa.
And then in 206 Montreal, you were, instead of second, you were third. Johnny Jackson and Durham first and second. But KAMALI was fourth. You beat KAMALI again, who was a good bodybuilder. And that you beat Dennis Wolf. He was fifth. Art Atwood was seventh. Paul Dillette was 10th. You don't
That's
even know
funny
who
to
the
me,
hell you
T.
beat. You didn't know who you beat.
No, I didn't. I wasn't. T. I was like this, man. I wasn't paying attention to the guys. When I got on stage, only thing I was thinking about is myself. Is about how hard I need to make sure I'm posing right. I need to make sure I get everything right. Anyone that's there with me, they were secondary. The only time I paid attention, the only time I really paid attention, I remember being on stage and who I was on stage with, was when I was on stage with Marcus Rule and Kevin LeVrone. I was on stage with Marcus Rule and Kevin LeVrone. This stuck in my head. And back then at the Arnold, they had this little platform. They had a little platform like boom, 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 little stair thing. And I'm standing on the platform and I'm looking at these guys and I'm like, why are they standing on the platform and their feet are hanging off the edge of the platform? I was like, what's going on? And then I saw the pictures and I was like, those guys didn't want to look small standing next to me. I'm standing on the line. Those guys are standing with their feet hanging over. And I'm going, oh. And from that point on, I made sure that when I started watching where everyone's feet were. So I'm so focused when I'm on stage about where everyone's presence is, because a lot of guys, when they would stand next to me because of my height, they wanted to make themselves appear taller. So they would stand a certain kind of way. So I had to pay attention. So whoever was with me, I just didn't know. And plus, I was so out of my head that I just made sure I was focused on the things. And I had to really stay focused on what I was doing, smiling, appearing happy when I feel kind of tired inside, and keeping myself focused on just when I start posing, I want to make sure I got everything perfect. Everything's got to be perfect. It's got to be perfect. Perfect, 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 perfect.
Let me
Don't.
ask you this. After going through some of these shows where not even you realized how good you were, who some of the people that you beat, you look back now and say, damn,
Yeah, I
I could
kind
have
of
been
do.
better. I could have been an Olympia contender.
Yeah, maybe you're right. I could have been, but I just got tired. I just woke up one morning. I
It
just was like, after that
was your
shoulder
life,
surgery, I was just like, I'm tired.
family issues. You had family issues. You had those two mastiffs that almost bit my leg out in Granada
I got
Hills.
one here now. Adoro's sitting over there now. I love those dogs, but
Oh,
I had
bring
a
the
lot of
rest
family
of him.
stuff
Bring
going on. I had a lot of family stuff going on, T. I was getting divorced.
right
I
now.
had every woman, the women I had children with were trying to take every dime I had. It was a
That was
nightmare.
a lot. That was a lot of them.
It was a nightmare. It was three of them. And then my kids, I really wanted to, my kids took precedent over them, but they didn't really care about the kids. All they cared about was trying to get everything out of me
One
that they could.
ladies who bore children with you was a lovely Lisa Gonzalez from Cal State LA, where you both won the show at Cal State LA.
Yeah. 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 My son with her, Jamal's great.
Jamal's got to be 25 or 30 by now, huh?
He's almost 30. Yeah, he's 30. I talk to him. I talk to him all the time. I'm very close to him. I have
Well, let me
five
ask you
kids.
this.
I have 5 kids. I'm close to all three of them. 3 of them I'm very close to. 2 of them, they got some issues of their own that they're trying to deal with.
Well, I know it's tough trying to be a personal trainer, having family responsibilities. You know, and it's a tough business because you may have 10 clients on one week and 6 clients the next week because 4 quit, and then the week after 3 go on vacation, and then you got to start all over again and try to round up more clients, huh?
Yeah, that's like what. That's why I saw that up and down ride. I just got tired of it. So I said, okay, I need something. So I sat down and I thought. I said, I'm already doing physical therapy stuff. I worked in a physical therapy place. So let me go get my LMT license and start really working on people and doing a little bit more of that and build that clientele up just as much. And here in Las Vegas, um, there's a lot of good massage therapists here, but none of them have the background that I have and the strength that I have to do the type of pressure work and all the injuries that I've had that I know exactly what to do. And it's one of those things to where I really wanted to start focusing on getting more people in that arena, working on people more as far as massage therapy and sports accidents, sports things, and working with kids a little bit more. So I've already started that whole process. Like I said, I got the license a year ago, so I've really started building things up. Like I said, you can find me at bodybyquincy.com. Bodybyquincy.com. You can find me at any time. And that's also for my personal training as well. So I'm doing both. You gotta add more
Okay.
to the resume if you want. If you want to make more, you gotta add more to the resume. Can't sit around crying.
Speaking adding to the resume, why don't you be cool? How did that happen?
Well, be cool.
Be cool.
Gary F. Grayson, the casting director to Gold's Gym Venice. The director, Gary F. Grayson, the casting director, goes in Venice. And the guys who worked at Goes in Venice at the counter and the managers, they love me because I'm 6'4" and I'm humble because I'm not going to be acting like a jerk. And plus, I used to like smoke grass with some of them. So they all
Oh,
knew they all knew how I was. So I was pretty chill all the time. And that's how I stayed so calm. And I'm not going to have an ego. I'm not going to be walking around with a big old ego because I'm already big. So I don't need an ego. So I was nice to everyone, treat everyone cordial, be good to everyone, not walk around with a chip with those guys. Now, when I got outside of that, I did have a little bit of an anger issue, but I kept that stuff under wraps. But the guys loved me, so they would always hook me up with jobs. Like me and Tito Raymond went to Mexico and a guest posing together. Best time I ever had before because the guys that goes in Venice hooked me up. Another time people came in casting people, they called me. They called me up, and so I came up there immediately. When they called me, I got in my truck and drove up there immediately. That's how I got the job. Got the
well,
managers that goes in Venice were great guys. They took care of me.
you you were in another movie too, Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, that I got on audition through Rick Baker's what do you call it? Rick Baker's he did like some of the best prosthetic stuff in Hollywood. So he hooked me up with that. I did Planet of the Apes. I
Yeah,
enjoyed that. I enjoyed that.
every time Lieberman saw you, he had you do the walk that you did in the movie.
Yeah, that whole walk came from me. I made that walk up for that movie, and everyone followed it after that. Because come on, man, I was a nerd. I'm a nerd. I watched Rick and Morty. I watched National Geographic. Hell, my favorite shows was Disney, then freaking Mutual Home Walk Kingdom when I was a kid. So of course, I
Really?
knew exactly how the gorilla walked. It was very, very easy for me to figure that out.
In your life right now, you know, you're branching off in various directions within the physical training area. Anything else you want to add? Anything coming down the pipe?
Um,
Quincy Taylor muscle camp, maybe?
I'm thinking about like at Fit Club setting up some things for young people during the summers where I can do like a an hour training camp for a bunch of young people to come in. I'm also tied with a few of the clinics. One of the clinics here where I can, if you have like insulin resistant, because I've had a kid. He was 14 years old, and kid lost 40 pounds all on his own. But then it was like, whoa, he's something's going on. Something's not. So I sent him in, told us talk to his parents. You got to get permission from your parents before you do anything in this society. So I talked to the parents. The parents took him down there, got his blood work checked. He's insulin resistant. He's 14 years old. He's insulin resistant. I'm like, God damn. So this kid actually needed some type of medication to get his body to work properly. And it's just one of those things. And now all of a sudden he's down like freaking down there a total of 70 to 80 pounds. And I did it before, but I'm starting to notice
Wow.
in our society, it's happening more and more with this insulin resistant stuff. And it's the food. It's the food. And that's another thing that I'm probably going to wind up having to educate myself on a little bit more and go to school for is the differences is in the food. I have a license. I'm a licensed nutritionist, but at the same time, they're not teaching you stuff to deal with some of these other things. Like I want to learn about herbology, get into some of these get into some of these different herbs that you can use to clean some of this stuff up. Because I've learned a lot myself just using things on myself and things like that. I have to remind myself because of my age. I just go hard, go hard. But then sometimes when I started to notice something's not right because this kid should be dropping weight, and I don't think they're cheating. I don't think this person's cheating. I think this shouldn't be this difficult for this kid. He's too young for this to be this difficult. So that's where I started really looking at it like, okay, maybe I talk to the parents, get them to go down, let's get some blood work on this kid to take a real deep look and see what's really going on. Find out this kid's insulin resistance got problems. And so we got to fix it. You know, and it's not just him not trying hard enough, it's the fact that he does need help.
Yeah. Okay. One of the reasons you were stuck, let's say, in the middle of the road, I don't know if that's a proper term, as a pro bodybuilder. We talked about your highlights. Uh, the people that you went against were some of the greatest of all time. I'm going to
Yeah,
throw some names out there that
they're
you
great
competed
bodybuilders.
against, and you tell me what you think of their physique. Let's start with Flex Wheeler.
Freaking amazing, phenomenal physique, freaking amazing, phenomenal physique. You know, I got along good with Kenny. Got along good with Kenny and his wife and his ex-wife. I got along good with Kenny. Kenny's a good guy.
Did he have the best physique you think you've seen in
One
bodybuilding?
of the most beautiful. And I hate to say this, but I like Sean's physique more than I liked his because Sean's the first bodybuilder I ever saw. Sean just the way Sean moved, everything he did. And people can call him arrogant all the hell they want, but Sean's physique to me and the way he moved and what he did and the things that came out of his mouth, I kind of love the way the guy represented himself. I'm not even gonna
You
lie.
met Cal State LA show, February 10th, 1990.
Yeah, that's when I
You
saw
saw him
him.
get. Remember, James came out and said, everyone says he's narrow, and I'm trying to oil him up, and he says the back is going like from one end of the stage to the next. He goes, that's narrow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You saw him.
My funniest thing when he walked out on stage, I looked at Sean. He looked like a freaking baby elephant. That was the only way I could describe him because I'd never seen a pro bodybuilder live like that. You had Tanya Knight guest post too, and that was the first female
Yeah,
bodybuilder I'd ever seen.
yeah, and I've had some great bodybuilders at that. Cal State LA wasn't an NPC show; it was a fundraiser for the
Yes,
school. I did it because it was so boring around the school. But remember, Gary STRYDOM guest posed one
yes.
year. Paul
Showed
Bunyan,
up. I showed up the year after James won it. I won it the year after that, and I loved that show. That was the first show I ever did. First show I ever did.
yeah, it was pretty professional, kind of neat because we had a little state playhouse and it was filled up, and
Yeah,
all the
yeah, yeah,
students went.
yeah, yeah. But you know what I did, T, during the lineup? You had me lined next to these one guy. I was like, no, I would be standing next to this guy right here.
Oh yeah, I can't believe you did that. You changed the number.
I said, let's switch
Like
numbers, bro. So I got a guy switch numbers just so I can stand next to the chubbier kid.
you got the worst guy in the lineup to stand next to him.
I sure did. Something in my head was like, no, I don't want to stand next to this guy. I want to stand next to that guy. I want to stand next to this guy right here. Makes me look even better. I didn't know what I was doing. I did a diet of 6 weeks of nothing but fish and vegetables.
I think you weighed it when you won the Cal State show. You were 21, and I think you were 225
Yes,
pounds
yes, yes. I'll agree with that. I could agree with that.
with that tail in the back.
Yeah, yeah, with the tail. I have my tail in the back of my head. Like I said,
When I
I grew up in the inner city. I was pretty ignorant, pretty wild. All it
yeah,
takes
I
is some
didn't.
books. Start reading some books. You'll change your mindset pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, you seem happy with your life right now.
I can't
You know,
complain.
anything you want to add?
Um, Most of the young guys out here that are competing now, I really think, yes, you need to go for the gusto and go for it all. You need to try as hard as you
Wait,
can to be Mr. Olympia.
pardon, pardon me. I'm going to back up. I didn't go through enough people. I said Flex Wheeler. You said Sean Ray. How about Lee LABRADA?
Beautiful physique, beautiful physique. But I never Lee was never very kind to me. I never really messed around with Lee. Lee
Oh,
seemed kind of mean to me. I stayed away from Lee Labrada when I met him a few times because he was just kind of mean.
oh, really?
Yeah, to me at
How,
least. To
how,
me at least.
how about Gary Stridham?
Loved Gary. Beautiful body, great physique, great guy. Gary was cool as hell. Gary sit down and have a conversation with you. He still does. Gary's a great guy. Loved him.
Chris Cormier.
Love Chris. Nothing but good things to say about Chris. People say all kinds of stuff about Chris, but I don't really care because Chris would drop a pearl on you. Chris dropped pearls on me many a time. Chris would be like, Quincy, what about this? Quincy, one time I got to talking to Chris, and Chris goes, I said, Chris, well, I don't really want to take T3. Chris goes, well, goddamn, Quincy, you're already doing everything else. Well, goddamn, Quincy, you're already doing everything else. What's the point, Quincy? What are you doing? And I was like, damn. Another time, like I said before, he talking about you only gonna die 12 weeks. What the hell are you talking about? I was like, damn, Chris. Chris would tell me some stuff. He'd do like this and sprinkle some things on you and tell you and make you think. And only you can
Lee,
say is Chris is right.
Lee Priest.
I love Lee. This guy's got just off the things he says and does makes me love him because he'll say things that I'm thinking, but I'm too scared to say. I
Well, you
love
can
Lee.
say it now. You know,
Lee didn't care. He'd say whatever the hell he wanted. I'd just be like, oh, damn, if I say that shit, I'm in big trouble. I better not say that. Lee could say whatever he wanted.
Dennis Newman.
Dennis Newman, great guy, too. I got along pretty well with Dennis. I didn't get to spend a lot of time around him, but I liked his physique. The physique was beautiful.
Was
He
he
broke.
another Bob Perry
Yeah.
before he got sick?
Yeah. Yeah. He was one of those. But like Francis Benfato, beautiful physique. Beautiful
Francis
physique.
Benfato.
Yeah. Francis Benfato's physique was beautiful.
And another guy that may be coming out of retirement, we'll find out in the next couple of weeks. I don't know if you remember the days of the great Rory LEIDELMEYER.
Yeah. He had a beautiful physique, too.
Yeah, and he's like 7 years old now. He's going to come back and do the Masters Nationals.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine getting a pro card at 70?
Wow. Hester has a beautiful physique, too. Danny did, too. Danny did, too.
How about Melvin Anthony?
Beautiful physique, horrible human being.
Oh,
Horrible
I
human
mean,
being.
because,
You got to watch him, man. He'll stab you in the back. You got to watch him.
gee, I thought Melvin was a great guy. You had some problems with him, huh?
Not to me. Not to Quincy.
Was there anybody else that you disliked? Talking about people you liked and physique you liked. How about people you disliked? Or physiques that you thought were overrated?
You know what? My personal opinions on physiques, I look at them as great physiques like everyone else does. But as people, there's some of them that I'm just like, nah, that guy's not worth even talking about. Kevin LeVrone, jerk. Just a
Don't
jerk.
like Kevin either.
Kevin was a jerk, man. Kevin was a jerk. Motherfucker, you knew my name. You knew who I was. Why you gonna say you don't know who the hell I am? Okay.
Oh, he
Backstage.
said that?
Yeah. Kevin was a jerk, man. I didn't get I didn't have a lot of interaction. He's just so freaking arrogant. That's the bodybuilding curse. They Some of these guys have beautiful physiques and they have a right to be a little arrogant, but sometimes they go way too far with their arrogance. And some of them are very humble. And the guys that are humble tend to get along better. You know, some of the guys are very humble, and most of them are, but you get those few. Like I love King Kamali. A lot of guys hated him. King had a mouth on him, but I love King. Why? Because me and King spent
Especially
time.
when
Me,
you beat
me
him.
and King hung out together. Me and King got along great. King's a great
Especially
guy.
when you beat him every time. You beat him every time.
Well,
You're
but
in the same show.
I still love the guy like Victor Martinez. I love Victor too. Great guy. I love Victor. I have nothing negative ever to say about Victor or King. I like both of them. Craig, I even got
Sure.
along decent with Craig Titus. But Craig was nutty. You had to watch him. But I got along decent with Craig. I never had a problem with Craig. People
They
said a
say
lot of
Craig
stuff
could be.
about him.
They say he could be getting out in the next year. What's your feelings about that?
I hope he does, but I don't want to say too much about anything like that because I feel sorry for her family. You know, her family, she ain't
Yeah.
never coming home. But at the same time, I think Craig was on a lot of drugs at the time, and I think he lost his mind a little bit. And I think I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that because if it was my daughter, I can say, yeah, he's probably rehabilitated, he's changed, his life has changed, and maybe he deserves his second shot like everyone else deserves a second shot at life. But at the same time, if that was my daughter, I wouldn't want his ass coming home.
You know who was very bitter at the end of his bodybuilding career and he started to go south physique wise was Nasser El Sambati.
Yeah, yeah. Nasser kind of lost it because he would run up to judges And I was backstage with Nasser at the New York Pro one time, and because he had an abscess on his shoulder, and I got to talking to him, and I was like, Nasser, because I went on a fishing trip when I went to Hawaii. I think it was I went on Hawaii guest posing. Nasser was there. It was a big, huge show they put on, and they sent us on a charter fishing boat. And Nasser was one of the guys on the boat. So me and Nasser was cracking jokes all the time. I like Nasser a lot, so I got to talking to him backstage, and I said, "Hey, Nasser, bro, why are you doing this, man? You got this big, huge abscess on your shoulder. Why don't you just retire, man? You speak several languages. You got a doctorate, don't you?" I was like, "Bro, why don't you just retire? You make money doing something else." "Quincy, I can't. I've gone too far." I was like, "Nasser, man, what? Come on, man." Then when he passed, it just affected me a lot differently because I understood what he meant. He's gone too far. And that's how I felt. I've gone too far to stop now. You've gone too far into the sport to stop now. You don't want to stop. And plus, you love it. But at the same time, if you're getting abscesses on your shoulder and your body's starting to fall apart, maybe it's time to take a second look at this. And that was another reason why, like I said, when you asked me about why I stopped, thinking about him, thinking about that discussion I had with him backstage, and people were making fun of him. This guy won the Arnold. People are making fun of him, talking about him behind his back, and I'm sitting there watching it. And I'm just like, God damn, man, that's not cool. I said, this guy was Mr. This guy won the Arnold. This guy was one of the greatest bodybuilders. And I'm like, and because he looks bad now, everyone's shitting on him now. So I was kind of like, you know what? And that stuck in my head. See, I had a lot of influences going on, and I was like, you know what? At some point, you can keep going and fight the battle. That's what I say about I'll say to a lot of these younger guys, you can fight the battle, but just make sure that battle's worth it in the end. And here's the problem: when you're in the middle of it, competing and going hard like that, you can't see how are you going to feel. And Lonnie Teper told me something. I was doing an exercise on this machine. I was going all the way back on my abs. I was doing stuff, and Lonnie said to me, "You said this to me." Lonnie said, "Quincy, when you get older, you're going to hurt your back. It's going to hurt your back." And I was like, I couldn't think about that shit at the time. I didn't care. Don't you remember the conversation we had that one time? TB said, "Quincy, what about your health?" And
Right.
I said, "But Lonnie, I got Kaiser Permanente," and you laughed and
Oh
you
yeah,
laughing like,
you
"What the
said.
fuck are you
I
talking
said, what
about?"
about your health? You said I got Kaiser.
But that's that mentality. That's that
That's right.
mentality. That's why I say to young guys, I'm not saying don't go hard, because you you're not stopping that, but you have to start really asking yourself the question when it starts to become negative for you, physically, emotionally, health wise. No one wants you to be weak and stop, but at the same time, you got to see the bigger picture. And for me, that's what it was.
Another
It's like
other guy that I got to put in among the all-time greats, the amazing Dexter Jackson.
Dexter's got, you know what? Great physique. Great physique. Beautiful body, great genetics. Great, because Dexter would stay on his diet all year long. Dexter looked good
I
all the time. Dexter looked good
started
all
out
the
his
time.
life.
But after that Olympia, Dexter got kind of arrogant.
Oh, he did.
After he won that Olympia, couldn't even talk to Derek no more. Same thing with Phil Heath. Once he won that Olympia, he ain't talking to me no more. He wouldn't even speak to me. No, I'm beneath him now. He can't talk to me now.
Really?
Oh, I remember it vividly because I would say, "Hey Dexter, how you?" He wouldn't talk to me no more.
Jay Cutler was nice to everybody, huh?
Everyone. Jay backstage at the Olympia, not once but twice. Jay walked around, shook everyone's hand backstage. Everyone, every person back there shook their hand. I can't say that for every Mr. Olympia, but he walked around, shake, and he would say, "Thank you for being here." To this day,
Wow.
I see Jay in the gym, and he's always got words of wisdom for me. He always tries to tell me something. I was at the Arnold. I did the Arnold, and Jay pulled me aside, said, "Quincy, let's have lunch." We sat down and had lunch. And Jay looks at me and says, "Quincy, why you let yourself get so fat during the off season? Don't you feel like you're gonna have a heart attack or a stroke and die?" And it stuck with me. And that's why from that point on, I started watching what I did. I kept my weight low. And even now, when I see him he'll come in. Jake bounces around to all the gyms here in town. I'll see him at Fit Club. And he'll come to me and start talking to me about different types of ways of getting older and how to fight it. And Jay always drops pearls on me every freaking time. And it's like, God damn, Jay, I didn't even think of that. I didn't know about that new thing. I didn't know about this new cholesterol medication. Jay always gives me stuff like that. And I'll go and research and learn, and he'll teach me something. And so to me, not everyone, but I understand everyone can't be that way. But I think if you're going to be the ambassador to the sport, that's the guy you're supposed to be.
Well,
People,
speaking of a guy that I know you were very close to, that we lost lately was the great Albert Beckles.
Yeah, yeah. I was sitting in here watching TV, and it was late at night. And then my buddy Robert Mathis, he was a guy who worked out of yeah, that shit kind of broke me down because Albert was there for me many a times, talking about family, kids. He trained me, taught me a lot of stuff. When I did that
Goes North
Montreal
Hollywood.
Pro, when I did that Montreal Pro, it was Albert who got me, helped me get ready for that. When I met him at Goals in North Hollywood, and Albert was more than just a bodybuilder to me. He was like a father figure to me, and he was the only person I could really, when I would get on certain mindsets, Albert was the one that talked me down. Albert's the one that talked me
Yeah.
down. Albert talked me down.
I,
Albert would tell me things like I never forget him telling me what he said to me. He said if it's this close, give it to the other guy. I don't want and when they wait till they see me again, I can't be concerned about that, Quincy. I'm trying to get ready for the next one. He told me one time with my kids. He says Quincy, if it's hard on you, how do you think it is on the kid? I'm like, damn, Albert. I was sitting with you that day, Teper. We were in San Francisco, me, you, and Albert, and he told me that, and it stuck with me. Stuck with me. And everything he said to me and everything he taught me, still I still hear his voice in the back of my head.
yeah.
When I got that phone call, it broke me down. I went to his celebration of life, and it really broke me down because but here's the thing: Albert did what he wanted to do. He really loved competing, training, and just training he loved it. And the guy didn't make the money he should have made. He didn't get the recognition he should have gotten. He didn't get none of it. So who am I to complain when someone great like Albert went through the things he went through? You know, Albert never got the just deserved. The guy was in pumping iron. You didn't even see him. Barely saw a clip
Yeah.
of him. The guy's how many people in this sport can say they did what he did? Decades. 60 years old, winning the Niagara Falls. The
Yeah. It
knowledge.
was an amazing guy. Speaking of amazing, what about the freak out of England, Dorian Yates, when you first saw him?
I like Dorian.
He,
Dorian's a great guy.
he came to '93 Olympia. His back looked like solid cement.
That his back was like looking at a plane, like somewhere to land a plane at. And standing behind, looking at Dorian on stage and just having a discussion with him. Like I ran at Dorian many times out in clubs and having a good time, and Dorian would drop stuff on me the same way. He's like, bro, he says, you just got to get bigger, Quincy. You got to get bigger. I like Dorian. Dorian's cool. He's a very cool brother. Love him.
Okay, you have a lineup of Ronnie Coleman, Dorian Yates, Phil Heath, Jay Cutler, Lee Haney. Who wins?
Ronnie Coleman,
Coleman unbeatable, huh?
the guy. I saw stuff in Ronnie's back I've never seen anywhere else on anyone else. He had muscles that I didn't know what they were. I was like, what the heck is that in his lower back right there? Ronnie was in another stratosphere as far as I'm concerned. When you get up close up on, remember that time me, you, Ronnie Coleman were trying to catch a cab in New York City in November, and nobody would
Remember
pick our
that?
asses up. Just having discussions with Ronnie blew my cap off. I told Ronnie, I said, Ronnie, I hurt my sciatic nerve and I couldn't walk. And Ronnie's like, Coach, I heard that back when I was young and kept on training. I was like, Ronnie, man, I seen you doing 800-pound deadlifts. You got sciatic nerve problems. Like, he says, I just took some pills, took some anti-inflammatories and kept on going. It's like, God damn, Ronnie. And then years later, we see the way he is now. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah,
And that it made me sad as hell because Ronnie's, as far as body and getting along with the guy, I loved him. He was fucking just being in that same, being on anywhere standing near him on stage was like, God damn, what is this? That's all
he
you
was
can
at him.
say is, what is this? It's like, oh my God, this guy's a monster. Biggest person I've ever seen.
Yeah, he was.
He was in the whole stratosphere. He was in everyone, to me, everyone's big, but Ronnie was in another stratosphere as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, well, we're going to wrap this up. You want to go over where to contact you for some personal training, massage, whatever else you're doing?
Body by Quincy, look it up.
But
Quincy at bodybyquincy.com, and my phone number is 702-829-7189.
and you are personal training as well.
Yep, out of Fit Clubs.
Yeah, where exactly do you train these people? Where
Fit
there's
club,
several fit.
several fit clubs. There's one on Rock Springs in Summerlin, and there's another one in Hacienda in the middle of the city, and there's a new one in Henderson. It's beautiful. It's got all kinds of stuff going on. If you go there, you call any fit club location, they'll contact me. Or you can
Okay.
just contact me directly with the information I just gave you. And like I said, I'm doing massage work. I'm going to people's homes. I set up my table, come in, work on them, give them a good work over, and then come. Or we can meet at a certain location. I have another location across town that I can work out of. Just got to let me know.
Well, it sounds great, man. We wish you the best in your, I don't want to say new career. You've been doing it for a while, but it's expanding
Yes,
like
I'm
my
trying to open
waist.
it up more. Trying to do more.
Okay, well, thank you, Quincy Taylor, for a great interview. We haven't talked in a long time. Let's don't make it this long the next time. I may not be around if we wait too much longer. Uh,
Don't say that, T. If something happens to you, I won't know. I'll be sad as hell. That's
for about an hour.
no,
Anyway,
no, T,
the
T,
great
T,
Quincy
T,
Taylor.
T. Nah, brother. People like you and Albert, I'm gonna be thinking about you guys till till I leave. Don't ever
Oh,
don't think like that, brother. Trust me.
you. For the great Quincy Taylor, this is Lonnie Teper digging deeper with Teper. We're over. We're under. We are out.